This happened in the fall of 2025 while I was on a sales trip through a
You
small
gave the
town
trouble
in
with
Missouri. I had spent the entire day driving throughout the northwest region of the
video.
state, visiting more than
Alright, this
60
is
sales
the
leads.
video.
By the time I returned to my hotel that evening, I was mentally exhausted.
Doing the sign. Can
Even
y'all hear
so,
that?
I still had work to
Alright.
finish, so I spent several hours on
Good.
my laptop
I'm trying
scheduling
to say
emails to
yes,
send
sir.
the following morning.
I'm not a fan
The
of
hotel was a
scary.
normal mid-tier place. It wasn't a
Like that.
chain, but it also
It
wasn't a
depends.
budget motel. It had a Western log cabin aesthetic and
And this
felt
guy do
surprisingly
some
cozy.
work too.
From the moment I
Come on,
checked in
man.
until the following morning, I never
Yeah, we
saw
gotta
another
be.
guest on my floor. That detail becomes important later. I was staying on the third floor, which was also the top floor. Around 11:30 p.m., I was sitting at the desk typing away when I heard activity in the
Never
hallway.
saw a guest on the
There were
floor.
footsteps, a door
That right
opening,
there
and
should
a
have
few
been
urgent
enough.
voices. I didn't think much of it. Hotels are noisy places, and guests come and go at all hours. About 15 minutes later, I decided to go downstairs to buy a bottle of water from the vending machine. As soon as I stepped into the hallway,
I would have
I
thought a lot
noticed a
of it.
gurney positioned
Would have got
halfway
up out
inside a
of
room
there.
3 doors
Told
down.
him, hey,
Two
thank you
EMTs
for the
stood in the
opportunity.
doorway, while a man
I'm
who appeared to
gone,
be in his
player.
60s lay on the stretcher. I couldn't see his
We messed
face,
up.
only part of his arm and torso. Assuming it was a routine medical emergency, such as a fall or illness, I chose not to stare and quietly returned to my room. 10 minutes later, I stepped back into the hallway to finally get my water. This time, the gurney was completely in the hallway. One EMT was performing aggressive chest compressions while the other stared at a portable heart monitor. I heard the unmistakable continuous flatline tone. That was the moment I realized the man was either dying or had just died. The EMT monitoring the machine firmly instructed me to return to my room, so I
Like,
did.
bruh, now it's time to
When I
go.
stepped inside, the
It's time
clock
to
read
go. I'm tired.
12:18 a.m. Even after
Ain't
witnessing what had
no
happened,
way
my mind remained restless.
we
I
even got
continued
to sit
working
here
for
and
another
deal
half
with
hour
this.
before finally climbing into bed around
I would have
12:50.
been gone.
Only a few minutes later, I heard what sounded like
You
3
know what your
soft
favorite
knocks
was?
on my hotel room door. They weren't loud enough for me to be certain they were even knocks. I assumed it was the building settling or plumbing noises, so I ignored them. Less than a minute later, I heard the exact pattern again. 3 knocks, but louder. I got out of bed and looked through the peephole.
Man,
The hallway was empty.
I'm about to go.
As I stepped away from the door, preparing to return to
I'm
my
about to
bed,
go.
I
I
noticed the
ain't
handle slowly depress.
with
Not
scary
violently,
stuff.
just enough to suggest someone was
I
gently
beat it,
testing whether the
man.
door was locked. At that moment, a
For
feeling came over me unlike anything
God's
I've
strength
ever
around me.
experienced. I stared at the
Jesus'
peephole,
name.
but couldn't bring myself to look through it. Instead, my attention shifted to the strip of light beneath the door. The light suddenly disappeared. It looked exactly as though someone or something was standing directly outside my room. The darkness remained for several seconds, then the light returned. Immediately after, I heard a faint brushing sound against the outside of the door, almost like someone slowly dragging their fingers or the side of an arm across it. Then everything went silent. Despite legally carrying a firearm while traveling, I was frozen with fear. I had never experienced such an overwhelming dread before. I turned on one of the lamps and spent the next hour sitting awake in bed watching YouTube videos, hoping to distract myself.
You should have been carrying a firearm while you've been traveling anywhere you go.
A door opened. It sounded like
I
it came
don't
from
see
the
how you
same
still
room
there.
the EMTs had treated the man earlier.
I don't even see how you
I heard someone quietly muttering to themselves.
That minute I was seen, it was nobody on my floor.
Feeling relieved that another guest was awake, I finally opened the door. The man was stepping out of that same room. He wasn't dressed like hotel staff or an EMT.
Hey,
instead,
thank you for the
he wore
opportunity.
Dark slacks and a white button-down shirt, like someone traveling for business. He appeared to be in his mid-40s. The only thing that stood out to me was his eyes. They looked unusually sunken, as though he hadn't slept in months. Curiously, I stepped into the hallway and asked if he had been with the man taken away by the emergency services earlier. The man turned to face me. After a couple seconds of silence, he nodded. He then stated that there had been 3 knocks, and that the third time was when they answered. I was confused, so I asked what he meant. A small smile crossed his face before he calmly replied that they didn't always leave immediately. Without another word, he turned and walked toward the stairwell. Needless to say, I got very little
talking
sleep.
too much. It's time to go.
The following morning, around 8:30, exhausted and still trying to make sense of everything, I went downstairs to grab some coffee. I stopped at the front desk and asked the woman working there about the medical emergency that had just happened the night before. She looked genuinely confused and said she didn't know what incident I was referring to. I explained that paramedics had taken a man out of the room 3 doors down from mine and had been performing CPR in the hallway. As I continued explaining, she seemed more interested, but informed me that the room I was describing had been vacant. According to her, the last registered guest had checked out the previous day, and that guest had checked in alone. She also mentioned that the hotel occupancy had been unusually low the past few weeks, and that only a handful of guests had been staying on my floor, all of them at the opposite end of the hallway. She then asked me to confirm that the room I was talking about was exactly 3 doors down from room 312.
No.
That was when everything suddenly connected in my mind.
Nah.
The incident happened 3 doors away. My room number was 312. The knocking had always come in groups of 3, and the mysterious man's first statement had been that there had been 3 knocks, and that the third time was when they answered. It was one of the most unsettling moments of realization I've ever experienced. It felt as though I was standing in the middle of something that simply didn't make sense.
It's time to go, y'all. I don't know what y'all got there. What is that?